Hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of Living Well, 10-minute tips to a healthier you. I'm Sandra, Family and Community Health Sciences Educator for Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Hunterdon County. And I'm coming to you from my exercise room today for our current topic, how much exercise is enough to be healthy? And how do we stay motivated? So I thought we would start with a little discussion about the national guidelines for physical activity. They're actually called the Physical Activity Guidelines for Americans. And they were first developed by the Department of Health and Human Services back in 2008, and we're up to our second edition in 2018. So what do the current guidelines recommend for people to stay healthy with physical activity? Well, for one, there's a message to sit less and move more. So we certainly have seen a recent shift possibly in our physical activity habits over the past year, possibly a lot more sedentary behavior than normal for us. So the guidelines recommend being as active as possible. So to get up and break up long periods of time of sedentary behavior with even small amounts of physical activity. And another big message is do what you like and do what works for you. So individualize your physical activity plan. So how much physical activity is enough for adults to be healthy? The guidelines recommend about 150 minutes per week of moderate level physical activity and 75 minutes a week of more intense or vigorous physical activity. And you can judge the level of intensity by how hard it is to speak while you are being physically active. So if your heart rate is up, but you're still able to carry on a conversation, then that's moderate level. But if it becomes difficult to speak, that's more vigorous or more intense level of physical activity. So in addition to cardiovascular type physical activities that increase our heart rates, it's recommended that adults also do at least 2 days per week or more some muscle strengthening physical activity that involves all the major muscle groups. So that can be strength training with weights or resistance bands and all kinds of physical activity, cardiovascular, muscle strengthening, stretching, those kinds of a variety of physical activity is really recommended for adults. If you're an older adult, do these recommendations apply to you? Yeah, they do, with possibly just some common sense modifications. So for older adults, there's a recommendation to also include balance strengthening exercises, because we know that falls are a major reason for hospitalization and decline in older adults. So boosting our balance is a really important thing to do as we get older. And if due to chronic disease or other physical conditions, we can't achieve the 150 minutes of moderate level physical activity, then it's recommended to do what you can do. And it's always a good practice to consult with your healthcare provider to see if there are any special restrictions or guidelines for you based on your overall health. So now that we know how much physical activity to do, the other issue is, how do we do it? How do we stay motivated to do it? And in our Living Well series in episode 2, we actually talked a lot about ways to stay motivated with physical activity by setting achievable, doable, and very reasonable action plans. So just a real quick review, an action plan is just a step-by-step guide that you create to help you achieve your health goals. So check back on episode 2. The videos are archived on our Hunterdon County, Rutgers Cooperative Extension of Hunterdon County Facebook page, and they're also being loaded up onto our new YouTube channel. So remember, really any amount of physical activity is better than no physical activity, and the more you do, the greater the benefits you will receive. So find something you like, do it as often as you can, learn to enjoy the time you spend in physical activity. Be flexible. During the winter, you may be inside a lot of the time. I'm here in my indoor exercise room that I actually put together with an action plan about a year ago. So if it wasn't for action planning, I would not have this great space to exercise in. But as the weather warms up, getting outside, enjoying fresh air, walking, being with friends and family outdoors, these are all things that we can enjoy and add to our overall good health. So I hope you join me next week in our very last session of the Living Well series. And we're going to talk about the value of social support in supporting all of these important behaviors that we've been trying to make for our own good health. So I hope you join me next week. I promise it won't take more than 10 minutes, and I will see you then.